This is the Ramana Maharshi 40 Verses on Reality Satsang, a time for self-reflection and self-inquiry. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. I'm Richard Clarke, hosting this satsang. Welcome. I'm a seeker like you, sharing what we love. I've been blessed with years of deep teaching and practice. I bring this to this satsang. This week's reading from 40 Verses on Reality is verse 14. These are Ramana's words. If the first person, I, exists, then the second and third persons, you and she, will also exist. By enquiring into the nature of the I perishes. With it, you and she also perish. The resultant state, which shines as absolute being, is one's own natural state, the self. The ego is built on the subject-object viewpoint. You establish a subject, and then every other apparent thing is an object. The subject is the ego, the sense of being an individual. The object consists of the world and others. This subject-object view is the basic stand of duality. Our great spiritual teachers have shown us their own direct experience where the ego has disappeared. The ego can only disappear if it's not real. What is real is true always. The ego has disappeared because the sages discovered that it never actually existed to begin with. It never had any real existence. It had only apparent existence, assumed to be real until it was investigated. A name for this investigation is inquiry. And it is inquiry we are told by the sages to do when we ask them, how can I find this? We all have experience where the ego is no more. These include in deep sleep every night. Also various internal states like meditation and samadhi, where the ego just vanishes. Then the ego reappears. If this ego comes and goes, if the ego is not permanent, is it real? Or is it just an appearance? Notice that when the ego vanishes, so do others and the world, like in deep sleep. When the subject vanishes, so do the objects. There is something, though, within us that never disappears. What is that? Ramana calls this the natural state. It is the natural state since it is what remains when all the various ideas, suppositions, and misidentifications fall away. It is natural since there is nothing to do to produce it. It is just there. It is natural since it is what is always there, within, at the base of all experience. It is natural since when you take everything away that you can take away, it's what remains. Ramana says to remain as you are is the natural state. Now to our videos for the week. First is Swami Sarvapriyananda talking about the highest truth from the Ashravaka Gita.
It is not a sermon, it is not a philosophy lecture. I'm going to speak about the highest non-dual truth from the highest non-dual text available to us, the Ashtavakra. This is the book which Sri Ramakrishna taught only Swami Vivekananda. There's a difference in this text. There are texts which talk to the heart, spiritual teachings which talk to the heart, to the emotions. There are spiritual teachings which talk to the mind, to the intellect. And there are these teachings which bypass both, which talk directly to the God within us. It goes straight to the truth and tells you that the central truth that you are none other than God. Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. If you cannot have Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you can read this book. Read it for an hour or 2 hours. It's as good as the most intense meditation for hours and hours together. You look at a mirror, you see your face staring back at you. Look at this mirror, you'll see the face of God. Listen, you must. Understand, good. But really what I would like all of us to do is to recognize, is to appreciate it, is to see that it is the truth. If you listen to it and automatically the reaction is to give it to the mind. If you give it to the mind, one of two things will happen. Either the mind will say, yes, I understand it. Or the mind will say, no, I don't get it. Both are equally useless. So the great sage Ashtavakra is saying, you are never ever attached to anything in this universe. O pure one, what are you trying to give up? Merging the body-mind complex in this way, thus dissolve into infinity. What does it mean? Everything passes away. Look at the places you have lived in from your childhood till now. Places you have lived in, you have played in, the schools, your college, your house, and the places you have visited, countries you have seen. How it has changed from place to place to place. The people you have known, not only in this life. Hindus, Buddhists, we believe in many lives. So many fathers and mothers and grandfathers and grandmothers and husbands and wives and children and grandchildren, friends and enemies, people you have been indifferent to, life after life, they have all gone. They have all gone. Possessions, the most treasured and the most insignificant, all come and gone. Everything that is now here today, including this day, the setting sun is telling us just one thing, it will go. Vivekananda says, kings die and paupers die. The most learned die and the most ignorant die. The richest people die and the poorest die. The strongest die and the weakest die. Everyone dies. All of us, our bodies will die one day. We know that. What it means is that nothing sticks to you. You are not attached to anything. You're not attached to anything in this universe. You see, the impermanence of things means that one, you who are experiencing these things, you are not attached to anything. They come and go. You will say, that's not true, Swami. I've got so many attachments. I'm attached to my wealth, my house, my children, my enemies. What would I do without my enemies? How could I pass my time? My opinions, my political views, my career, I'm attached to so many things. My body, my health, my youth, I'm attached to so many things. No, you are not. Think of the greatest possible attachment this world can ever see. The attachment of a mother for her young baby, a new child. And yet every night when she falls asleep, she slips into the unknowingness of deep sleep. Where the world, her most precious baby, her own body, everything is forgotten in deep sleep. And she goes into that state without hesitation. She doesn't think, oh, I'm leaving my baby behind, what will happen? No. I'm not saying that you should not be attached. Ashtavakra is telling us you are not attached. You are not attached to anything. It is the mind which develops attachments. I want this to stay. I want that person to stay. I want these circumstances, this wealth, this health, this place, this environment. I want this to continue. This is the mind thinking. Yet beyond the mind, the Atman, the witness, you, the being consciousness, you are not attached to anything, not even to the mind itself. The mind itself disappears in deep sleep. You are not attached to anything. William Blake, he who grasps a pleasure doth kill the winged life. But he who kisses the passing moment as it flies lives forever in eternity's sunshine. When you kiss the moment as it flies and let it go, you live forever in eternity's sunshine. How beautiful, William Blake. You see, the moment you grasp something, we think we are holding on to something, some person, some possession, some idea. The moment I grasp, you know what is happening? I'm also caught. I'm also caught. As I'm holding on to this, if you now start dragging the lectern, I'll be dragged along with it because I'm caught now. Reflect upon it. What has stuck to you in life? Nothing. You say, bad habits, Swami? Bad habits were not there earlier. You developed it. Even today when you go into deep sleep, not there. It's only when you wake up, the mind comes up. The habits are in the mind and the body. When you become aware of them, you're aware of them again. Even there also you're not stuck to it. You, the witness of the mind, is not stuck to anything in the body and mind. Now, this body and this mind, is it you? Is it even a part of you? We would say that, yeah, that's who I am. And so all the problems of body, mind are my problems. And yet, every day when we fall asleep, when we dream, we completely forget this body and we forget the waking world. That I am safe and sound in my bed and this is my waking world, my whole biodata, all that is gone and a dream world comes before us. You might say, oh Swami, we're just dreaming. But what Vedanta points out is, look at your experience in the dream. You are there in the dream. It may be a dream, it may be false, but you are experiencing it. And your experience of a self, a conscious self, continues without any reference to the waking body, which is dreaming, which is sleeping in bed. The body of the waking state, this body, is sleeping in bed. You are having a conscious experience of a dream, which proves to you, you as a conscious being can continue without reference to the physical body. You are not the body. Though you are acting through the body, you are using the body is there, you are not it. You are not attached to it permanently. The mind, with which we identify ourselves completely. As we go into deep sleep, the mind shuts down, no dreams. No dreams, absolute quiet. You see, I slept like a log. which means no mind, no dreams. Yet who slept? Vedanta says you are still there because the mind is not there. There are no experiences. You require the mind and the senses and the body for experiences, or at least the mind for experiences. No mind, mind is shut down, hence you do not have conscious experiences. Consciousness without experience, consciousness without object, a blankness, a darkness. But yet it means you were there. If you are not there, then who slept? How can you say that I slept soundly? What was it that slept soundly? What was it that experienced sound sleep? You are that which experiences the presence of the mind. You are that which experiences the absence of the mind in deep sleep. This is what yogis do. We fall asleep. They fall asleep consciously. They strip away the external world by quietening the senses. They quieten the body down to lose awareness of the body. They quieten the mind down, isolating the consciousness which is behind the mind. There the witness, the infinite consciousness which is the witness, remains in its own nature, in samadhi. Proving then, you are not even the mind. Even the mind is not attached to you. You are not attached to the mind either. The mind which is now listening to this, which likes this idea, not attached to that mind either. It appears to you. The mind which does not get this idea, is uneasy about this idea, you are not attached to that either. It's just a mind. You are not attached to this body, you are not attached to the mind. The body is there. You experience the changing body. The birth and the babyhood and the childhood and the teenage and the growth, youth, middle-aged, disease, decay, old age, death. All of this the body will undergo, not attached to you. Says, O pure one, what are you trying to give up? Very interesting. That one which is the witness of body and mind is pure. All impurity is in the world, in the body, in the mind. Not in that which is the witness of the mind. You are that which is the witness of the mind, you are forever pure. What are you trying to give up? Meaning thereby, you see, all our efforts to improve ourselves, to make ourselves more spiritual through prayer, through meditation, through good deeds, either we are adding something to ourselves. I need some virtues. I want to be selfless. I need to be more integrated. I need to be more loving or kind, unselfish. I'm adding virtues to make myself better. Or I'm getting rid of things which I think are very bad for me, non-spiritual. I am very restless. I give up the restlessness, quieten the mind and body down. Thereby thinking I'm improving myself. Here it's telling you, you are absolutely pure and perfect, that vast perfectness which you already are. You need not add anything to that, because something that is perfectly pure, if you add anything to it, no matter how good, you're making it impure. Something that is perfectly pure, there's nothing impure to give up there also. What are you going to add? What are you going to give up? Ashtavakra has the danger of being misunderstood. It does not mean you're going to give up your spiritual practices. Practices to make your life better will continue. Practices to make your life better will continue. Ramakrishna asked his master Totapuri, you are an enlightened soul, you are enlightened. Why do you meditate so much every day? And Totapuri said, he was a wandering monk, and he was completely naked, but he had this pot, water pot. And he said that, look at this water pot, brass. If I do not polish it, it will lose its shine. In the same way, enlightenment, of course. But the mind has to be immersed in the reality which the self is. I am Brahman. It has to be immersed in that every day so that it retains the light of enlightenment. It retains the shine of enlightenment. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna had to come back to that also. He said, but if the pot were gold, you wouldn't have to polish it. I think thereby he was distinguishing between an avatar and an ordinary Jivan Mukta. What are you trying to add to yourself? You need not add anything to yourself, the Atman. You need not get rid of anything. That one which is the witness of body and mind, which is completely unattached to the world, to the people, to the events, to the body even, to the mind even, thoughts, ideas, memories. This verse, what we read just now, it can be summed up in one Sanskrit word, asangatvam. Asangatvam means non-attachment. Remember, non-attachment is taught as a practice, that you should not be attached to anything. Here, Ashtavakra is not teaching you a practice, is telling you a fact about yourself. Your highest nature is non-attached. All phenomena arise in your consciousness, are experienced in your consciousness, disappear into your consciousness. The consciousness is not attached to any of it.
All right. Now we're going to listen to Mooji. What is our true self? Let's find out.
We all say I, but what do we understand or feel or take I to be? What is this life? And who are we in this life? Where did we come from? And where are we going? Is there a going place after you finish this story in this body? Do you move on to something else? Because the body will fall, then is that it? Is that all there is to us? So these are ancient questions people have been asking like that, but few know inside the heart. When this body first appeared as a child, freshly entering into this field of life, it had no name. It did not come with a name stamped on the forehead. And after a while, the child was given the name George, and hello, Georgie, how are you? Oh, you're so beautiful. And it's hearing those sounds, but it's more feeling those vibrations. It can respond to the vibrations of love. Georgie, darling, how are you? This love vibration. But the name George, it doesn't know. But after this association for a while, somehow when the consciousness is ripe enough to absorb the impression through memory of the name George, then once that name was impressed in the consciousness, it's as though the name was never forgotten again. Who are we? A child of our parents. The main assumption, we just assume that I am my body, and my beliefs and the conditioning that arose in my body amounts to what I am. But this has not proven to be enough, because with this belief, we still struggle to be happy. We still struggle to understand who we are, what our purpose is, or whether we do have a purpose or something like this. Because as long as you are personal, we cannot read life truthfully. And so many things your mind will present. Yes, this thing to do, that thing to do. And it just keeps you on a treadmill of thinking, the next thing and the next thing, and pay very little attention to yourself. we are feeling that we are restless. You imagine something is going to make you happy, but after a short while, it doesn't make you happy. You look for something else to make you happy, and everything is only for a time, and everything is only in time. What is constant? Is there anything constant in life, really? And who would know? Is there a thing, something that you can know that gives you understanding about all things? Wise it would be to find what this thing is. Understand what I means. Only those regarded as the sages in the human kingdom, the Buddhas and the Christs and so on, understood the power of I, the truth of I. And they found it in its true meaning to be so important that they forgot everything else. They forgot everything else, including themselves. They forgot everything else to find what this I is and where this I come from. And because they forgot everything else, including themselves, the whole world cannot stop remembering them. Who is the I that am? What is it? If am means to be, what does I mean? What is it? Only one who is looking inside to discover that without which the world cannot be perceived or seen. That without which the world, time, nothing, even God could not be known. What is this I that am and here? Don't give this just to your mind. What is this I that I am here? Just in that intuition, the sense I am, don't allow it to connect with any thought or to run into any thinking or any imagery. See if the sense I am, that one just remains conscious of the sense I am, not just the words I am, but the sense I am. Without connected to something to make a statement, just stay as I am. Don't get into imagination. It is not imagination. Feel, stay with it, and it will begin to reveal its own mystery. You will get its juice, a taste of its juice, what it is. Don't read any book about it. Don't go to anybody else about it. Sit with this, I know I am here. First, be with yourself. This is greater than being with anybody. First, know how to be with yourself. Not how to be, you already are. Give a little attention to that purity. It is the first knowing. It is the first knowing. Before anything else can be known or perceived, it is here. So stay with this and don't let imagination come, because imagination wants to come. Oh, I love this. It can come like lots of things to imagine. No, don't have any of it. It may, in the beginning, you may find out I can't concentrate. I can't concentrate. It's like 101 things are coming up in my mind, as though to stop you from knowing I am. Suddenly, pizza comes. Oh, I like margarita. No, stuffed margarita. Today, I am. Just be with that. And you may experience, and if you feel some turbulence, some sort of raw energy, be aware of that, but don't go into that. It is being perceived in the presence of the I am. It is not the I am. But without the I am, it could not be perceived. But don't combine. It is going back the way you came. You came through the opening I am, and then forgot it. Or dreamed you forgot it. Because even to forget it requires it to be there, because it is consciousness. It is there before everything. For any thought, any intention, anything, it is already here. You did not earn it. It is you. So just be with that, because the mind will tell you, listen, you need to try and focus and, really try and catch it, to really, just try and catch the I am. You're coming close, but you're not there yet. If you have these kind of thoughts, you must throw them away. The natural feeling of I in you belongs to I am, not the person. This we know, and stay with it. In the beginning, you may find it's easy to be distracted. Other thoughts are coming in, other things are coming in like this. Your mind becomes like a news page. Something coming. But know, and you recognize that's some kind of scam going on. And stay with it, and gradually, by persisting, something just, it's like the skies open. Something opens, and you find just that you're here. And stay with it. Just be in that natural vibration. It's not a doing. It is an isness. And just to stay with this. Thank you.
And now we'll listen to my teacher, Nome. No jiva, no individual.
The self, which is of the nature of absolute, unborn, indestructible, homogeneous being, alone exists eternally. It is never particularized. There is no individuality for it. The assumption of individuality is false. It is superimposed upon the existence of the self through mere imagination. This imagination is peculiar inasmuch as that which is imagined and that which imagines are one and the same thing. If something is so utterly imaginary, then it is also utterly unreal. The individual or jiva is not true. The self, which is eternal and infinite, of the nature of being, consciousness, bliss, is true. It is what is. If the individual or jiva, which appears in the form of ahankara, the form of I, the supposition of I, if that one is false, then certainly everything by way of an object, perceived or conceived, that is based upon that individual, that is for that individual, is equally so, equally unreal. If there is abandonment of the supposed object and the supposed subject, that is, the I notion, and everything that I imagines to be, then there remains the certitude of realization of the self, or self-knowledge. What are the signs of such self-realization? Signs and characteristics, attributes and qualities pertain to the individual. As for that which is undifferentiated, unformed, without birth and innately immortal, that which is infinite and eternal, how could there be a sign of it? With the body, with the senses, with the prana, with the mind, etc. For the body and such are mere forms in which the I notion seems to be encapsulated when one is in ignorance. In knowledge, self-knowledge, there is the certitude that I am not a body, not in a body. I do not possess a body. What could the body have to do with the self? Likewise is it with the other things mentioned. The self alone is real. The self alone exists. Pure being, consciousness, bliss. If this is not completely and constantly one's own experience, all that is necessary for realization of it is to question the one for whom the experience is different. In other words, to inquire, who am I? Examining the very existence that seems as if individualized. There is no existence to the jiva except Shiva, that is to say Brahman. There is no existence to the I except the eyeless true I, the real self, which is one without a second. That means it has no alternative, no other, no duality. Therefore, inquire into the nature of your own existence. Existence which is invariable. Existence which is utterly non-objective. For you cannot be an object for yourself. Inquire into the existence that you are. And whatever is not actually the existence, abandon such in terms of its acting as a definition for who you are. Perceive the very essence of what now might be mistaken to be a jiva or individual being. And you will find only being, with no assumed individuality whatsoever. With the absence of individuality or the ego, there is no seed for bondage. And where there is no bondage, there is no suffering. And no time and no place in which to suffer, or in which to be bound. If you go on examining your own nature, not by sensing, not by thinking, but by actually inquiring to know yourself, you will find only one thing exists, and that you yourself are that. You are not separate from that at any time, nor are you a part of it, nor is it a part of you. But the simple truth is that the self, Brahman, is the solitary reality. And that alone is what you are. In this, the utter non-existence of an ego entity, lies liberation from all of the imagined bondage. It is for this reason that the Maharshi has laid such emphasis on self-inquiry. Who am I? Pursuing his instruction to the depth of its significance, inquire within yourself and know yourself as you are. Then Brahman knows Brahman.
Now we're going to take a little time to meditate, to inquire. Breathe in and breathe out. Long, slow breaths. Notice the breath come in Then, as it goes out, notice that you exist. You exist, and you know that you exist. Now investigate within yourself. Inquire, what is this natural state? Find out for yourself right now. Inquire. Dismiss everything that comes and goes, everything that had a beginning, everything that has a cause. What remains? Dive into that.